Channel Community Talks. Today I'm joined by a very special guest from California, Dr. Harminder Singh, who's a Chief of Neurosurgery at Santa Clara Valley Medical Center. Harminder is a clinical professor of neurosurgery at Stanford University School of Medicine. He also serves as a chief of neurosurgery at Santa Clara Medical Center in San Jose, California, which is one of the biggest Punjabi communities in the US or indeed in the world. And Harminder is also the director of neurotrauma. He's a board certified in neurosurgery by the American Board of Neurological Surgery and a fellow of the American College of Surgeons. Dr. Singh is also interested in shaping public policy related to the delivery of healthcare in the US, which, as we know, has a public and a very large private sector, looking to improve efficiency and quality of service for patients and strengthening the equitable access, which is very important, ensuring that everybody can access healthcare. And Harminder was also, until recently, the president of the American Association of South Asian Neurosurgeons. Harminder, welcome to SIKH Channel. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Devendra. It's just a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you very much. Perhaps we can start with, as I always like to with my guests, is find out a little bit about them, about their childhood, their personal life, where they grew up, and what sort of childhood you had. So can you take us back a little bit to when you were a child growing up in your early school years?
Yeah, so, I grew up, I actually was born in Punjab, but my dad used to work for one of the four steel plants in India at the time. So I grew up mostly in Durgapur, which was in West Bengal, a small industrial town near Kolkata. So I went to school there. I grew up speaking multiple languages, had a really multicultural upbringing. And then, it was quite, growing up, I had significant health issues, especially between the time when I was 7 to about 12 or 13 years old. So spent a lot of time in and out of hospitals and, gave me a really chance early on to see, trauma and grief up close. And also, see the tremendous caring and kindness of some of the physicians and the nurses that were there taking care of me. So I think it kind of planted the seed at the time to do something in healthcare. So I kind of finished my schooling in Durgapur. I went to a Catholic medium school. It was St. Xavier's in Durgapur, along with my brother. And then we emigrated to the US in the mid 90s. Finished my high schooling here, then went to college. Tried a lot of different things in college, from being in the military training program to computers to business, and really wanted to make sure that medicine was still what I really wanted to do after I tried everything, and I explored quite a bit when I was in college, and it really kind of solidified my interest in medicine. So I ended up going to medical school, then did a residency in neurosurgery, ended up doing a few fellowships, and then have been at Stanford since 2010, where I'm a full professor now. And for the last 5 years, had the opportunity to kind of, within the Stanford system, work in the public sector of things. So that's why I'm right now heading the Santa Clara Valley Medical Center neurosurgery, which is a large network of public hospitals in San Jose and Santa Clara. And we are trying to establish neurosurgery here and expand services. And as you mentioned, there's a huge, big Punjabi population here. So, and also it's a safety net hospital system. It's quite large, one of the second largest in California. So we do get to take care of a lot of immigrants, a lot of people who are not with means, who maybe cannot go to private facilities or to Stanford. So it gives us really a chance to give back to the community, which is kind of in line with our Sikhi principles of giving back and of service. So I've really enjoyed this role on the public side of things, even though I'm still under the Stanford umbrella, to expand neurosurgical services to the whole community here. So it's really been a privilege, and it's kind of also put me in the administrative side of things a little bit. So also pursuing the MBA on this side, just to kind of learn about the business aspect of medicine. So it's been a fascinating journey, definitely in medicine.
It's tremendous. Thank you very much for that. And in terms of neurosurgery, Harminder, can we draw an analogy to perhaps AI? It's a very new area of medicine if we compare to something like orthopedics, which is fairly straightforward and well established. There's a lot of procedures and treatments available. Whereas neurosurgery, is it the final frontier?
It really is. I think when I think the the end of the 20th century, 21st century, the decade of the brain, our understanding of the brain and the neurologic function of the brain grew exponentially. Still, I think we know very little into how the capabilities of the brain, how it works, how it interacts and creates our world essentially for us. And it's really a field that's evolving very rapidly. And As you mentioned, with brain machine interfaces, it kind of really opens up another channel of exploration of how brain, if we can meld the machine with the brain, how we can then expand even through AI or robotics, the capabilities of individual human beings. So being in the Bay Area, especially, exciting in that sense, because there's a lot of startups here that work on robotics that we get to work with and consult on. There's a lot of artificial intelligence companies. Stanford Neurosurgery also has a large artificial intelligence human brain machine interface department that's headed by our neurosurgical and engineering colleagues here. So we're really at the forefront of kind of defining what, not only understanding what the brain is able to do, but also expand the capabilities of the brain by this AI as well as brain machine interface. So, recently had the good fortune of also visiting Neuralink, which is Elon Musk's company, and seeing how he is kind of expanding the frontiers of brain machine interface. I mean, we have done a lot of stuff in our labs here at Stanford, but he's trying to do it at scale with really bringing the forces of engineering to the technology that's already there, but making it more miniaturized, easier to implant, as well as you know really unlocking that. So it's really exciting. I think the next decade for neurosurgery, in terms of not only artificial intelligence, brain machine interfaces, for robotics, for stem cell engineering, for regeneration. So there's a lot in the pipeline. It's going to change rapidly. It has already changed rapidly in the last 10 years that I have been, 12 years I have been in practice as a professor, of how we deliver care, of how we teach our residents, now with 3D and AI and haptics and holograms. So I think it's really exciting time to be in medicine, but also definitely in neurosurgery, because I think our world is going to change sooner than we know it.
That's absolutely tremendous. Thank you for that fascinating insight. And in terms of healthcare, there's a lot of demands here in the UK upon the National Health Service, which is a public, free, essentially free health service for everyone, which is a model which is not working. But when we look to the American model, that's equally unsatisfactory, because obviously you'll have people who can afford the very best healthcare. Then there's a large element of society, the underbelly, if you like, of society who can't afford healthcare. That's not really satisfactory. And is it all down to expectation? Because we, as humans, now have an increasing expectation, and putting increasing demands upon doctors like you? And is it just a case of managing expectation or trying to meet expectation?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right upon the head. I think it is expectation driven, right? Because when you look at models like the NHS or the Canadian system, which is provides some basic services at least to everyone, you can see that there are definitely limitations within that system where if people need somewhat elective procedures that may not be emergent. Obviously, the emergencies get taken care of. There are long waiting periods, and you may not be able to get access. On the contrary, in the American system, I mean, the costs are exponential in terms of how much it costs to deliver healthcare, and our results are not that great when we compare to other developed countries because the expectations are really uh, for each individual patient when they come are exponentially high in what they uh, want in terms of delivery of care. So, you see that a large quantity of resources and money being spent on, the very elderly in the last couple of years of their lives. Also, a large amount of money spent on practicing defensive medicine because of uh, lack of tort reform in this country, where doctors are at a very high risk of getting sued for negligence, malpractice, or or any errors. It may not be malpractice or negligence, but medicine is not a perfect science. There's a lot of art to it, so um, definitely sometimes outcomes are not as you would expect because there's a lot of heterogeneity in uh, from patient to patient and pathology. So that drives up the cost. So I think it's really you have to be able to find a nice balance between the two, and this has kind of been my passion now for the last few years, and also the focus of my MBA is trying to figure out how we can take the best of both worlds and deliver. And you can see in California, especially, a couple of models developing. I mean, there is the managed care model with large institutions like Kaiser. So basically, those are private institutions that not only provide their own health insurance, but also then the hospitals provide the care. So they are not incentivized to do more procedures and unnecessary medical treatments because they are the ones who are insuring their patients. So it's a good kind of cooperative model that kind of keeps costs down. Um, and Obviously, it comes, or previously there was some criticism that they are not really driving innovation and research forward, but that has changed as more patients are being driven into the system. Then there's the academic medical centers like Stanford and others in the area, UCSF, University of California, San Francisco here, and that really kind of focus on the academic aspect, on the research aspect, on driving the field forward. But again, the delivery of healthcare and the access of healthcare is very limited in that setting. So there's these two models, and now the one model I am in here at Santa Clara Valley is kind of interesting because it is essentially uh, the Kaiser model or the managed care model on the public side, where um, the hospital system is providing the insurance plan, and then our hospital system is also providing the care. But since we are now in a public institution, the goal is more on providing care to everyone in the community. So our uh, you know here our mission is better health for all. So we don't have to ask about insurance plans or what people are able to pay. We just focus on how we can deliver the best care that is not only cost efficient but also uh, easy for people to access. So I think it's doable. It's definitely requires outside thinking of the box because there's so many stakeholders involved, from pharmacy companies to hospital systems to physician groups to other hospital ancillary services. So it definitely can be done, but requires thinking outside the box. So that's why I'm kind of here, and it's kind of exciting to be where. I think with the amount of money in the U.S. that we spend on healthcare, we should be able to deliver a far superior service for everyone. So I think it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time.
That's tremendous. Thank you very much. And in terms of your own personal development, your personal career path at a relatively young age. You have become a professor at Stanford University, one of the leading universities in the world, and you're the lead uh, neurosurgeon at your hospital. Did you find any barriers to these positions? Did you have to struggle? And how easy was it for you to get to these very senior positions at a relatively young age? Can you tell us about your struggle or any challenges you faced?
Yeah, I think it's obviously the Sikh Swaroop and what we believe in could be a double-edged sword sometimes, and there are um, people have biases, and sometimes there are implicit biases. They may not be obvious, and so that can definitely work against you all sometimes. But I think also um, you know our um, physical persona and how a Sikh exemplifies himself and leads his life can also be a very positive influence on people and can make you stand out. So I have never kind of put myself in the victim position or felt like it has been that for me. So I have always kind of led with a lot of confidence that I'm kind of living the guru's mission, and also trying to do good, trying to do good for the world and make the world a little better, whichever station I've been placed in. So I think as we get higher up in academia and education, there is less explicit bias for sure, because it becomes more of a meritocracy. So it's what you can deliver. But I have largely felt that me being a Sikh really has kind of helped me in that when I'm sometimes the only Sikh, a turban Sikh in the room, and if you speak and you can draw a lot of positive attention, and people remember you. So I think it's how you kind of lead your life. If you lead it with confidence and you are doing it for the right reasons, then you will move forward. And it doesn't matter if some people, not everyone is going to agree with you or or believe in you, and that's okay. I mean, you're not here to please everyone, and you cannot please everyone. So it's just finding the right allyships as you move forward, and that opens different doors as you go through life. So I didn't really expect that I was going to be in on the business aspect of medicine. It was kind of a door that was opened for me about 5 years ago, because prior to that I was just focused on being an academic neurosurgeon, having my lab, do my research, publish a lot of papers, until this role opened up, and because of some of those reasons, which I could have taken as being discriminatory towards me, as not moving me forward. But I think every challenge that's faced kind of um, opens up new pathways for growth. So I think you have to kind of be agile about it, and move forward. So I really, and that's what I kind of tell all my mentees and people who come through, and that if you're doing it for the right reasons, and you're sincere about it, and you're then it doesn't matter. There's going to be criticism. That's great. I mean, I think the only time that you have no criticism is when you're not doing anything. If you're sitting at home, then there's no criticism. But if you're going to move through the world and you're going to create some friction because you're trying to challenge some assumptions and make things better, and change is always difficult. Change is difficult for everyone. But you have to believe in it. You have to make your team believe in it, and then if you create the coalitions and you know can explain people like why it's urgent to do what you believe in, I think people then come together, and I think that's the key of building teams. So it's not just you. You can make an impact that way.
That's tremendous. Thank you very much, Dr. Harminder Singh, for sharing your thoughts with us, and in particular, keeping the concept of Chardi Kala, high spirits, positivity, overcoming all the challenges. And your Sikh identity has been a strength to you, and it is a very positive uh, faith and a very Chardi Kala faith that we can use to help Sikhs in all different backgrounds progress different careers or businesses in every part of the world. So I've never felt that it's a hindrance. And as you said, more often than not, it's a very much a positive attribute. being a Sikh and having a Sikh identity and being true to your faith. So that's very encouraging. Thank you very much for that. Please do keep us posted. We'll perhaps like to interview you every few months, every 6 months or so, and see how you're progressing. And if you're here in the UK, please do visit the home of SIKH Channel, although we were on Dish TV at one time before the advent of the internet, and that accelerated us onto the worldwide platform. And we were on Dish TV for a long time, so we do reach parts of the US. And our team have been to California for a big tour. We were welcomed by all the Sikh and Punjabi community with open arms. On our next tour, we'd like to meet you in person and perhaps see your hospital and your place of study and teaching, Stanford, which is a worldwide acclaimed university.
No, and thank you for having me, and I think giving me this platform. And you have been also a trailblazer in establishing the SIKH channel. So I think there's a lot to learn and a lot of synergies there. And like you said, you are this was not your profession, but then you kind of you incorporated it because there was a need for it. And that's what I kind of really mean, by like, I am a physician, a neurosurgeon or surgeon, but I'm more than that. So you can advance your community, see where the need is, and create allyships. And I have much to learn from you, and I really look forward to our continued conversations.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Harminder. I'll be in touch, and please do keep in touch. And SIKH Channel will hear from you again in the future.
Pleasure to be on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa,
Khalsa,
Waheguru Ji Ki
Waheguru Ji.